After today, we're done with Season 3 in the Saints franchise and looking ahead to the offseason and Year 4. It's been a tough year. Tough couple of years, actually. But we'll wrap this season up, go through our final game, and then preview the offseason to come. We're taking on the Seattle Seahawks today at 3-13. They have a worse record than us, although we've lost our last 7 games. We'll get more of a look at David Mayweather today, the rookie quarterback who has really surprised everybody with his play so far late in this season. I know there's already going to be many that want us to stick with him for the long haul, and we'll just have to see what the future holds in the series. I do want to see more players that could have roles in the future play more today. Guys like Kendre Miller should be out there more. I want to see also Kevin Blackwell hopefully solidify a Rookie of the Year season, as he's already become, I think, one of the best young tight ends in the league. And then there's players like Justin Medlock and Tyrell Stoudemire. I know we've been losing a lot of games, but I do think we're developing players who have a chance to be part of actual winning Saints teams again. So we'll see how the season ends for us. Juan Beard's also top 5 Defensive Rookie of the Year voting. We'll see if he can improve his stock in his last game. Seattle has 3 wins. They're missing their best 2 offensive playmakers. And it's likely the last start they'll have Geno Smith make. The success they had with Geno Smith allowed them to avoid a rebuild after the Russell Wilson era. But there's no avoiding it now. The last time we saw mock drafts, it had Seattle taking a quarterback, but very late in the 20s. They now have the worst record in the NFL, and I expect them to take a quarterback when they're on the clock in the first round. And if they want one of those top quarterbacks that I also like, we'll see how that impacts the offseason going forward. But the draft order looks like this at the moment. And it's likely we're going to pick somewhere between 6 and 8. There isn't a lot that can happen based on the results of today's game. But it's just one more game for us, and let's get it underway. Week 18, Seattle and New Orleans. And this is Joe Sanford on the return. His first chance as a kick returner. He gets blasted at the 24. And here comes number 4, David Mayweather. The UMass rookie continues to generate excitement during a lost season. He rolls out, back to pass, launches, and wide open! It's caught! A.T. Perry 23 yards downfield, and a big gain right away. Mayweather's done outstanding with his downfield passing. Here's Alvin Kamara. Ball's on the ground, and Seattle is on it. In what could be potentially his last game as a Saint, Kamara fumbles his first touch. And that will give the ball to Geno Smith and Seattle. Smith, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2 receivers are Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Back to pass and looking deep. That is caught inside the 15. JSN matched up with Tyrell Stoudemire and a 41-yard hit. Inside the 10 with Zach Charbonnet. Gain of a couple. He fills in for Kenneth Walker. 3rd and 6 for Smith. He gets it over the middle. Cut for the touchdown. Jackson Smith-Njigba. Seattle strikes first. Alvin Kamara, 30 years old, a free agent at the end of the year, takes the handoff and is caught in the backfield by Uchenna Nwosu. Following a loss of 1, Sanford in the game as the 3rd receiver. It is floated past him, incomplete. And Seattle's defense gets off the field again. It's Jack Becker, the young punter, to kick this one deep. Tyler Lockett. He breaks a tackle of Tommy Tomlinson, and that is a solid return into Saint territory. Seattle looking for the early advantage. Facing pressure, Geno sacked on the play. It's Juan Beard. And that will help. He was number 4 in Rookie of the Year voting coming in. 3rd and 22. Geno chased and hit down again. Juan Beard was the first one there. He'll get half credit. James Bolden finished the play, and the Saints will take over at their own 22. Here's Chris Olave with a block from A.T. Perry. Good gain to the 41. Kind of letting David Mayweather lead the offense here late. A little more pass heavy. Caught on the play by Kevin Blackwell. It's a gain of 7. Have to get into Seattle territory. Mayweather again too far ahead of Sanford. These two not on the same page early, and it's 4th down. Rough start. And we got a fake. He broke a tackle. It's Reggie Gilliam, the breakout fullback. 18 yards on the fake, and maybe the play of the year for New Orleans. I'd love to see him come back next year, and this play is only going to strengthen that desire. 1st and 10, rolling left, Mayweather for the rookie Lovelock, who is thrown down. Got nothing on that play. Stretch Kamara to the right, and Jamal Adams makes the play. Now need to get to the 24. Mayweather looking deep. Too far for Chris Olave. And it's 4th down, New Orleans. We'll see if they have any trickery in mind here. 49 yards out. Kick is up, and it is right down the middle. 7-3 Seattle. Remember when these two played in the Marshawn Lynch Beastquake game? Down goes Geno Smith. That was just on my mind. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah ends this Seattle drive quickly. And awaiting the punt, here is Joe Sanford. Shoot top catch, breaks outside, has great speed, and a nice return to the 42. No Jacoby Pearman. Also, forgot to mention Brian Bresee out for this game. A strike delivered to Chris Olave. He makes the catch. Mayweather showing more of what we saw in his first few games. And the running game has continued to take a step back here late. That was a loss of 5. Mayweather trying to get it back, and he does! Caught by Blackwell. And the rookie should be over 800 yards now. A lot of 3 wide, and Joe Sanford, that third receiver on a lot of these plays. Mayweather climbs and takes off, getting close to the marker. Seems like they're going to go for it now. They got David Mayweather in the pistol. Gilliam's there. They fake his way, and it's pitched back to Miller. He's got the 1st and more. Well, there was definitely a missed opportunity to let Gilliam run wild on this defense again. Miller runs left and cannot get to the outside. Another really good play. They've defended the edge better than most teams, and they're a 3-win squad. Mayweather swings it out. Here's Miller, getting 8 on the play. A little bit closer for 3rd down. Sanford on the right. Pressure coming. Rolling is Mayweather. He floats, and it's caught for the touchdown. Chris Olave. David Mayweather with another one for the highlight reel. And that's a lead now for New Orleans. Some of you won't be excited about that. It's Zach Charbonnet. That's a really fun name to say. He gets a couple on that play. 3rd and 7. Geno from the empty look. That is caught. Nice play. Right at the 35 by Malik Davis. 4 minutes until halftime, and Charbonnet trying to weave through the middle. Gets taken down by Juan Beard. It's 2nd down, and well covered. That's Lattimore against Tyler Lockett. 2 of the longest tenured players on either team. On 3rd down, what a route and a catch. That is Parker Washington. Another big play given up by Tyrell Stoudemire. He's had a couple rough moments here the last couple games, and also had a pick 6 last week to open. 2 minutes on the clock. Caught. 1st down, Smith and Jigba in front of Stoudemire. They're picking on the comment section's favorite player. To the outside and hauled in. That's a gain of 4. And Seattle trying to keep this drive moving. Facing a four-man rush. End zone for Smith. And he's way off the mark. The field goal for Seattle ties things at 10. And there's a minute on the clock now for David Mayweather. He fakes and fires to Blackwell. Another connection, a 20-plus. Stopped at midfield. One timeout left for the Saints. Swung out to Miller. Doing a lot of pass catching here in this quarter as well as rushing. On second down, Mayweather underneath, and that led Miller too much. It's incomplete. Just a short distance to go, and Miller kept his balance and still didn't get there. Fourth down, no hesitating to go for it. 2 for 2 on fourth down today. Mayweather hits Sanford this time. Third time's a charm. And that's a first down. Out of timeouts now. In field goal range at least. And this one is launched up top and broken up by Quandre Diggs. 10 seconds on the clock. Mayweather tries it again. Broken up by Jamal Adams. Good plays by the Seattle safeties. Maybe they'll want to keep those guys around. Kick is up from Groupie, and he breaks the tie as time runs out in this first half. Saints lead it 13-10, and I'm just enjoying the continuation of the David Mayweather show. What the heck would we be doing right now without it? Believe it or not, I have interest in some scores around our league, as I see teams like the Falcons and the Panthers both solidify themselves as solid playoff-worthy teams. They've both taken a good step in this series. We've been spinning our wheels. You even have a team here like the Raiders who's broken out behind the great play of Tyler Huntley. Really interested in what ultimately happens with him this offseason. Here is the Falcons score in New England, 10-0. They're playing for their 12th victory, which would earn them another NFC South title. We've got some work to do if we're to compete for a title next year. But let's go through our final half of the season. Seattle ball, they're at their own 47. Here's Geno Smith downfield. Hooks up with Smith and Jigba. He's just beating anybody that tries to cover him. That time it was Tomlinson. Charbonnet, all kinds of room. 15, and down at the 13-yard line. That's his best run. From the 10. Smith over the middle. That's hauled in. Not quite in the end zone, but they're knocking on the door. Trying to take the lead. Now they use their fullback. Touchdown, Ben Mason. Fullbacks have some of the biggest plays in this game, and I wouldn't have it any other way. 17-13 Saints ball, and Miller is cut down by Quandre Diggs. I think teams have figured out our running game a little bit. Rolling is Mayweather. Downfield, and all alone is Perry. He seems to get wide open on these crossing routes an awful lot. Up to the 47, going Miller's way again. Now he's got some space. Finally, a well-blocked play in the running game, and the Saints have it inside of field goal range. Mayweather wide open. Olave, 10, knocked out at the 6. Almost 200 yards through the air for Mayweather. Motion, giving it to Sanford and not fooling the defense. When's he going to get another carry? He might have negative career rushing yards for the rest of his life. Third and goal. Up top, Olave tries to make a great acrobatic play and could not secure it. The Saints have made it a 1-point game. Seattle football. Charbonnet really getting going now as they've found some success in the run game. Two receivers. Fake from Smith. Wants to go long and has a man open. We had two defenders collide with each other. That ruined the entire play. And now Paul Redman is shaken up on the end of it. Geno Smith, that is the catch for Washington. He's had to make some tough catches today. They're inside the 5. Smith wants to run right. He has no receivers, so has to throw it away. Trying to keep Seattle out of the end zone. 3rd and goal. Swung out to Charbonnet, and he's escorted out of bounds by Jerry Rayburn. Defense holds in the end. Now it's a 20-16 game, and that is John Waters checking in. Dumped off and threw it behind Reggie Gilliam, so he loses yards. I will say Mayweather's accuracy hasn't been quite as good today. Now he gets hit, and that falls incomplete as well. Long way to go on 3rd down. Climbing and floating out to Kevin Blackwell. This connection has thrived since Mayweather took over the starting job. He has a couple 100-yard games under his belt. Change in direction on the fly is Miller. 7 yards. 2 receivers to the right. Mayweather up top. Caught by Kevin Blackwell again. He's down to the 26. He wants his award. Handoff. John Waters. Not much there. Staying in the eye. Play fake. Mayweather, he's hit and delivers it to Chris Olave. Inside the 10. Goal to go Saints. 7 minutes to play and looking for the lead. Mayweather with time. Caught! Touchdown! 2nd for Chris Olave. He now has 6 on the season. Saints back in front. We've had all these games lately going down to the wire. It'll be another good finish, it appears. 41-yard line. Charbonnet, another one. And these running lanes are wide open. I'd like to be seeing more out of Justin Medlock. Downfield, nice grab, and down to the 17. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Big problem for this defense. Deep drop, Smith chased and sacked. There's Aleem McNeil. A loss of 14 for Geno. The 4th time he's been sacked. 2nd down. Open is Tyler Lockett. Turns it up inside the 20. And makes the 3rd down a bit more reasonable. 3 tight ends. Geno wants to throw. Spins left. Now fires. And it's caught. Touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Seattle retakes the lead. We have no chance against him. And that means it's coming down again to this Saints offense. 2.5 to go. David Mayweather trying to make his last impression on the season. Caught by Olave for a gain of 8. We've yet to win a game that Mayweather has started or played most snaps in. That's caught by Olave on what's not really much of a passing play, but it technically is. Swung out, and Alvin Kamara. Could that be his last catch as a Saint? 2 minutes left to play. Mayweather. That's caught. Eric Whiteside checking in to make a good conversion. And they're into Seattle territory with 43 yards to go. Bottling up Kamara. No gain on the play. Not much of a running day here for the Saints. Off the fake. Floating deep. Intercepted. Devin Witherspoon. What awareness there to leave his receiver, find that one in the air, and go make a play. Mayweather has kept good care of the football, but that might be his last throw of the year if we can't make a good stop, and Charbonnet continues to run through this defense. No one's stepping up. Charbonnet sends it outside. The Saints defense is in vacation mode. They'll see you in Cancun. This season is over. There was a point when we were 5-4 this year. We've lost every game since, ending the season on an 8-game losing streak, with one of the worst defenses in all of football. A lot of work to do going into next year. I really enjoyed playing with David Mayweather in this offense late. I think we have a lot of building blocks there. And there's going to be a lot of debate over if David Mayweather is one of those building blocks after seeing him play essentially 4 games to finish out the season. The offense certainly had its best passing games with him, but we'll see when the draft comes what opportunities come our way. We've already been through a lot of the struggles this year. I don't want to rehash too much of it, but I am going to take some time now to recap and wrap up this season ahead of the offseason, which will be next. We finished the year in last place in the NFC South, a 5-12 record, which will give us tied for the second worst. Only there is now a 5-way tie for the number 1 pick. I have no idea how to break this, so I'll have to go and check all these teams individually. For 5-win teams, there were 2. So we're picking at either 6th or 7th. I think it's like strength of schedule is the tiebreaker here, so we'll just see what number they give us. We played really high-scoring games this year, averaging 26 points a game and allowing 29. So the average game from us had around 55 points scored. We didn't play many low-scoring, and big part of that is just where the sliders are and how the game has been affected by all the updates, and I haven't been able to keep up and keep the gameplay where we had it originally earlier in the series. I want to take some time after this year before preseason starts to try and see if I can find a little solution, because the game's continuously playing out the same way isn't optimal even when games are close. We had a number of close games, but they just felt so samey. And I think with our defensive personnel, we certainly have holes and should have bad games from time to time, but we have enough good talent to have way more good games than we did. We played 3 quarterbacks this year, and David Mayweather was the most effective and the most fun to play with, honestly. Even over Trey Lance, with how versatile he is, Mayweather was just a better passer. Much higher completion percentage with a significantly higher yards per attempt. We built this year around our running game, and that was the highlight of the team. In highlighting the fact that we had 2 really good tackles in the running game, brought in 2 really good tight ends, and a great fullback. I think that we can rely on this for years to come. This is something that I want to keep building, but I don't know who our lead running back is going to be next year. Alvin Kamara is about to turn 31, and his athleticism is only going to get worse from here. While our running game was very good, we did not have a very explosive running game. Our longest run outside of Trey Lance getting 30 was 29 yards. I want to make sure next year, whether it's our lead back or a secondary guy, that we have somebody who has a little more speed. Because with some of the blocking we get, imagine having a faster running back that could take advantage of these running lanes and opportunities. We had this production without having very athletic breakaway athletes at the position. Kendre Miller is under contract for next year, and there is a chance he ends up being one of our running backs, but it's hard to see him being like the bell cow next year. I want to find another guy, whether it be in free agency or the draft, and we'll just have to see what we're able to come up with. Chris Olave had another really good season with 6 touchdowns on 1,133 yards. Hasn't put up numbers like year 1, but the offense has changed a lot, and our quarterback play hasn't always been good enough to have those elite numbers. But one of my favorite additions to the offense this year was Kevin Blackwell. I wasn't fazed at all seeing that he had normal development, because I knew with his speed, his run blocking, he would have an impact. And I think he was even better than I expected. comboing as a guy who could lead our running backs outside on stretch plays and then running through intermediate zones where linebackers struggle to keep up, and there's a lot of chances at making big plays. Looking at his long catches in each of these, he had a lot of games with 20-plus yard receptions. He was our best intermediate option this year. Then you've got A.T. Perry, who was all right this year, I'd say, but he hasn't taken that big step. Guys like A.T. Perry who have normal development and need more in their skill set, you're hoping to have a string of big games and maybe eventually a breakout scenario or a Pro Bowl season of some sort, something that really pushes them ahead faster. In 3 seasons, that hasn't really materialized. He's still a normal dev player. He was used much more often in Season 2. Kevin Blackwell took away a lot of what would have been his opportunities, but I think that we're better using Kevin Blackwell, and now I'm thinking more about adding a new second receiver. Jacoby Pearman, to me, is a very situational player, and I didn't use him enough this year in the situations where he is the most effective, but he got hurt towards the end of the year. We couldn't really do much the last couple games. Next year, I would ideally like to use him a lot more. And if you're wondering if he could be that running back that I talked about, I looked at his running back skills when we drafted him, and he doesn't have it. The carrying is a big one, and he has had fumble issues that I've noted, even though he hasn't been a running back. He's still had 6 fumbles in his career. Alvin Kamara caught 44 balls, Kendre Miller caught 10, but the change in the offense really led to a lot less being available to the running backs in the pass game. For the offensive line, I was overall really impressed with the unit. I feel like Trevor Penning is having a lot of success in this scheme. It really fits, and he's not really struggling as a pass protector in most games. I think this is working out nicely. And then you've got the great Ryan Ramczyk on the right side, who is still very stout. Sometimes the interior gives up some pressure, and Luke Rowe is one of those guys who's maybe been the weakest link along the offensive line, but he's still young, still improving. We also had Jimmy Ward start all 17 games, and I think that he's filled in very well, and he's showing why I was comfortable making him a day 1 starting center. The defense is a little bit tougher to talk about because I know there's issues with the sliders that keep them from playing, I think, how they really should be able. We were better this year against the run because teams passed it most of the time, and they passed it really well, and we gave up over 500 points. At the same time, we had a lot of sacks. We blitz a lot, and we do eventually, get to the quarterback facing all these pass attempts. I'd still like to find someone else who can give us more consistent pressure and impact the opposing passing game more. A lot of these players will rack up sacks, but it's like they either get a sack or they just don't do anything. And I value pressure almost as much as actually recording the sack. But it was a slow start for guys like Justin Medlock, who I think is maybe not playing as well because of the really low awareness. 74 block shed is not like amazing either. It was a great starting point, but he's further away than I thought he was. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah did not have the impact in the passing game I was hoping for, and he has really good cover ratings combined with outstanding athleticism. But it's just been hard to shore up the coverage, and I was scrambling all year to try to find a way of playing defense that would work for us, and never found the answer. We didn't take the ball away much this year. 2 interceptions for Jabril Peppers, Paulson Adebo, and Tyrell Stoudemire. We had the occasional splash play, but just weren't a very sound unit. I also reduced playing time at a point for James Bolden because he wasn't getting it done in coverage, so I wanted to see other players that might. I thought Eric Kendricks was better, but I did think Bolden at least might have been better than like Jerry Rayburn, Tyler Rhodes. Like I had them playing some at the end of the year. I still don't think Bolden is like a great linebacker. He's solid against the run most of the time, but we need to get better against the pass. I mean, we led the league in sacks, points allowed, passing yards allowed. I really hope next year we have a defense that is a lot more competitive, makes more plays, and can just be a respectable unit. I almost forgot to point out this year, I only threw a combined 13 interceptions. It was a massive improvement. With our change to the passing game, I was thinking there'd be less interceptions because we were going to throw it less aggressive as well. And this seems to work a little bit better. And we were number 2 in points scored this year, so there's not a lot to change offensively. Just finding maybe younger or better players to do the same jobs and run the same offense. Now, I know many of you are going to wonder if I'm going to stick with David Mayweather. What are the plans there? And my thought is that if there is a really good prospect that I like that's available when we pick, I should still take them. We've only seen a handful of games of David Mayweather. We don't know what a full season looks like, but I will say he's been very consistent over those 4 games. His low points weren't even all that low compared to some other quarterbacks we've used. I thought he played really well, and I don't even know why. Like, the ratings say that he shouldn't be as good as he was, but he was clearly better than Darnold and Lance and Jake Haener last year, better than a lot of the Derek Carr games. So there could be something here, but I just don't feel comfortable enough after like 4 games with him being like a 70 overall. There's morale and boost, changing all sorts of ratings, and then also having 83 injury. I like Mayweather a lot, and I think there's a high likelihood we end up going into a preseason with him against the rookie in a competition for the starting job. We'll talk more about the draft here shortly, but I wanted to go over league leaders and awards this season. So the leading passer in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes at 4,767 yards. Then for touchdowns, it is also Patrick Mahomes. Here is Tyler Huntley, one of the best stories of the year, breaking out as the Raiders quarterback. And was he ever given an extension? He was not. Sam Howell had 22 interceptions this year, and our 13 combined don't even register all that high on the list this year. In the running game, Josh Jacobs ran away with the rushing title. Bijan Robinson behind him, and then Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley. We had Alvin Kamara. Must have come in close to 10th. It was a career-high season for Kamara in rushing touchdowns with a tie and rushing yards by far. But I just think regression's probably going to catch up, and we're going to have chances to maybe add a more dynamic player here soon. In the receiving game, Cooper Kupp had the most receiving yards and 18 touchdowns, which led the league. Behind him in yardage, you had Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Smith. I'm starting to wonder if the Steeler rookie had gotten hurt. Courtney Bryson was the leader for much of the year. He's already a superstar wideout in just his first season, and he did play down the stretch, just didn't put up the big games. In the AFC, interception leader is Jalen Ramsey with 7. I think I contributed to that. And Max Crosby, 21 sacks. In the NFC, Micah Parsons had 16 sacks, James Houston 13.5, Isaiah Foskey 11. And Jair Brown, Jalen Johnson, and Josie Jewell all had 5 interceptions. The MVP of the league is Patrick Mahomes. Coach of the year, Brent Perkins of the Jets, who succeeded this year with Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback. NFC Offensive Player of the Year is Cooper Kupp. Defensive is Micah Parsons, as James Houston fell like 3 spots. And Offensive Rookie of the Year, I haven't seen this yet, belongs to Kevin Blackwell. I expected that. I was just wondering if there'd be a chance for David Mayweather to climb this leaderboard a bit further, but he finishes 5th. Who knows what would have happened if he played more of the year for us. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Antoine Mickens. Juan Beard comes in 3rd. In the AFC, it was Courtney Bryson of the Steelers. And Defensive Rookie of the Year was Marcus May. May ended the year with 6 sacks and 66 tackles, playing defensive tackle for the Jags. Antoine Mickens of the Cardinals was also a defensive tackle. He had 6 sacks, 61 tackles, very similar seasons. Now, one of the big stories was us taking Juan Beard in the first round when there were so many other edge rushers we could have had if we didn't move back. Javier Garland was one of those players I passed on, and he only ended the year with a single sack as a rookie. If I had moved down, maybe not so far, I would have had a chance to then take Vikings pass rusher Andrew Madden, who had also 1 sack. Matthew Stokes was a defensive tackle that went originally at the pick we traded down from. He had 8.5 sacks, which may have led all rookies. But if we want to look at just the rookie pass rushers, Dalton Webb, the number 1 pick, had 5 sacks, and Juan Beard had 6.5, meaning he had the most sacks out of all rookie edge rushers. Still, that's not going to make him better than a normal development, and there's still a lot more I want to see from Juan Beard, but it wasn't all that bad of a rookie season. So a little bit about the draft now before I head out of here. When it comes to trading and trying to acquire a quarterback potentially, my philosophy is that I'm not going to trade with players ahead of me that are seeking a quarterback. I should not be able to trade with a team wanting a quarterback so I can take him instead. You know, the trade logic in Madden is very limited. It simply is a system that compares the value of 2 sides of a trade, but doesn't take into account, does it make sense to do a trade? So just like I did in the Broncos franchise, when Jesse Heikkinen was in the first or second draft of that series, I wasn't going to trade with Miami when they were on the clock, because if they want Heikkinen, there's no way they would give up that pick to me. So either he was going to go past them because they didn't want him, or they would take him. And they took him. So with that being said, when it comes to our offseason, if there are teams ahead of us that are going to take a quarterback, and should take a quarterback, then I'm not going to try trading with them. I have to find a partner that does not want one of the QBs. The latest mock is actually pretty early in the season. It had Chris Hale as the first quarterback taken. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. He's a day 3 talent based on our scouting. And then Blake Westbrook. Westbrook appears to be the top quarterback on paper in this class. They also have Hunter Boone going first round. If I have a chance to take either Trent Ainsworth or Blake Westbrook, I do not plan on passing. I think that these are 2 really good quarterback prospects that would immediately be effective starters. I still really like Ainsworth, even though it says his talent is a lot lower than his projection. I still think he's going to be an excellent quarterback with really no major weaknesses. Looking at Boone, who has solid round 1 talent, very good arm, he also has really good accuracy. His awareness is only a C, so I'm expecting his overall to be a little bit lower, maybe in the 72, 73 range. Any of these quarterbacks here likely have a better overall than David Mayweather, plus a chance at having hidden development. And I think if I have a chance to draft that, I have to take it. But if Mayweather is still better, then these players will still hold trade value if it doesn't work out. The 1% outcome I was preparing for towards the end of the year was actually, what if Mayweather somehow backdoors his way into Rookie of the Year and he gets the development boost as a result? Does that change anything? And it might have if that happened. I just went over the draft order, and I wanted to show you the top 7 teams and their quarterback situation, because we're picking at 7. I think there are 3 quarterbacks worth taking here in the top 10 this year. Number 1 on the clock will be the Washington Commanders, whose best quarterback is Sam Howell, who will enter free agency. So the Commanders right away are going to be in the market for a quarterback. Next up is the New York Giants, who are probably looking at their next option with Daniel Jones not really panning out, and they view him as a bridge quarterback. So there's two. The Patriots have already extended Mac Jones. He's an 80 overall. They're likely not taking a quarterback, which makes them the best trade-up partner, and that could also mean you're getting the third quarterback at 3. The Cardinals pick at 4, but have Kyler Murray. And because they defeated us, Seattle drops from 1 to 5, and they do want a quarterback. I didn't realize the Broncos' best quarterback was Jake Haener. They pick ahead of us. So that's 4 teams solidly, you can say, that pick ahead of us and need a quarterback. But the Patriots at 3 could be a really nice trade partner. Okay, Haener didn't play. Russell Wilson retired. Okay, that's what happened there. So without seeing the mock draft in the offseason, if I had to give you my mock draft here for just the top, I think at number 1, unless there's a free agent quarterback out there, you're going to likely see Blake Westbrook just become the number 1 pick. Then I would assume that Hunter Boone is maybe the second guy because he's already been mocked in the first round. And then Trent Ainsworth, I'm thinking, would be that third quarterback if you want to move to 3. Some of these talent grades keep changing because player value changes week to week. Like Blake Westbrook now is round 1 talent and not top 5. It's got to be close to top 5. Maybe it's like 6 or 7. But that stuff has been very fluid. Now, what about potential free agent quarterbacks? Sam Howell's going to be out there and might get a deal. Trevor Lawrence isn't signed, and if he's available, anybody who doesn't have a franchise quarterback is going to be trying to sign him. And that does mean us. Tyler Huntley's going to be available. Same with Jameis Winston. And that's about it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens at quarterback for a lot of teams this offseason, including ours. Outside of quarterbacks, I don't have another plan B with what might be the 7th or 8th overall pick. I haven't really done a lot of homework on the pass rushers because I spent last year, drafting a lot of defensive linemen, but that's where this class is still strong. There is a really good receiver in Donald Ryans, and I just don't think he's going to be there. He's an excellent receiver prospect who I love to take. What if it plays out where 3 teams ahead of us want quarterback and we're just kind of having to find that plan B? I think then I look at wide receiver, finding someone who can pair with Olave to be another reliable starter. I like Malik Akins a lot. Extremely good athlete. A downfield playmaker, can play on the outside. I'm also very interested in a running back in this class. We got Tavares Cofield with round 1 talent. I just don't think we can get him at a good spot without maneuvering up and down the board a little bit. But outside of his strength, I think that he kind of offers a little bit of that Jahmyr Gibbs skill set, and I have a lot of interest in that. For defensive upgrades, I would love to come away with another safety. I think I want to make that an emphasis this offseason. I do have many on the board, although a lot of 50% complete profiles. I want to get us to the offseason or Super Bowl week before we end today. So here are your playoff teams this year. Chiefs, Rams, led by Jameis Winston. Jets, led by Tua Tagovailoa. Raiders with Tyler Huntley. Some really exciting developments here in the league this season. All playoff teams had winning records. The Super Bowl will feature the Chiefs and 49ers. The Rams almost made it there as the 1 seed, winning close game against Dallas and then losing by 3 to San Francisco. The Chiefs blew out Buffalo and then won by 3 against the Jets. Carolina did win their first playoff game, but were blown out in their second. San Francisco beat Green Bay in the postseason again. And here is the Pro Bowl roster. Jameis Winston is in as a Pro Bowler. That's great to see. At running back, Alvin Kamara does make it to at least one more Pro Bowl with us. Unfortunately, do not see Reggie Gilliam make it. At wide receiver, Michael Thomas makes it in Carolina, but Chris Olave is left out. Tight end, wow, I think that Kevin Blackwell is a snub here. I wonder how Ferguson and Goddard did. I'll have to check on that. For offensive linemen, Sebastian Dillinger is in. He was drafted here in this series. He was the like Quentin Nelson caliber prospect at guard. No offensive players. James Houston is in. So we're on the board there. And not expecting anybody in the secondary. Blake Grupe is in. Hey, Donald Parham was the leading tight end this year. He was the Travis Kelce replacement, and he thrived in KC. Kyle Pitts was second at 923 yards. Evan Ingram at 879, and then Kevin Blackwell. Maybe he was held back by only having 2 touchdowns. He missed out on the Pro Bowl, falling behind Jake Ferguson, who had 3 touchdowns, 804 yards. If Blackwell had 1 more touchdown, he might have been in. But also his receptions were a little bit lower because he was busy averaging 16 yards a catch, which is one of the best in the entire league. Kevin Blackwell is up to star development after winning Rookie of the Year. Really happy with how the season went for him. One of the best stories of the entire season. Hoping for some route running here. It's one of the only things he is missing, and we get a little boost there. Kamara gets up to superstar dev, which I wonder, this could impact if he regresses much. Defensively, Lattimore at star. James Houston is at X Factor now. We have an X Factor under an 80 overall who isn't a rookie. Wow. So, big season for James Houston, and very fortunate to have him under contract now. That was definitely a good deal for us. Tommy Tomlinson still at superstar. Paulson Adebo still at superstar. Chiefs win over San Francisco. Not many players to check on. We don't have that many that are above 30 years old. Ryan Ramczyk is the oldest player on the team and only went down 3 total points. Marshawn Lattimore loses 3. Alvin Kamara then loses both normal and star development, and some speed, and some of his route running and juke and carrying. 19 points overall and down to a 77. Then we have Jabril Peppers, who is 30 years old and just lost 12. That's kind of significant. And he's not a guy who's had like really high cover skills throughout his career. He's versatile, but I'm not sure exactly what he does really well at this stage. I want to check out the league as a whole when it comes to running back, because that's where I spent a lot of my time in the regression testing this past fall when I was setting those sliders. So looking at the top running backs in the league now, you got Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan, and Isaiah Pacheco. Running backs begin regressing once they hit 27 years old. And I have the regression cranked up a good deal. So you're not seeing a lot of players above like 28, 29 as the top running backs in the league any longer. Next year, I expect to see a few more teams using running backs who are drafted in this series as that rotation really starts to settle in. Oh, we've got to check on some retirements as well. Why not a little sneak peek here to the offseason? Odell Beckham Jr., Jordan Poyer, Eric Kendricks after he was picked up by the Steelers, John Feliciano, Aaron Donald, Adam Thielen. 3 different Panthers retire. Brandon Scherf, Trent Williams, Hall of Famer. Stephon Gilmore, Jake Matthews. Russell Wilson, actually. That's earlier than I expected. And here are the players we have to make decisions on when the offseason gets underway. And I'm expecting the stream to be on Saturday, and I will create the event, and I think it'll be around maybe 1 or 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I'll make an event here coming up when I know exactly when it'll be. And we'll go from there and look to put year 3 behind us and start fresh again soon. We've got some work to do. I know I have some work to do when it comes to the sliders as well to hopefully give us the best games possible next year. But that is it for year 3, everybody. Leave your final thoughts on the season down below, as well as what you think we should do in this upcoming offseason. Excited to get after it and get on to year 4. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the offseason ahead of year 4. Have a great day.